Okay, everybody. I thought at this point it'd be good for me to provide an overview and for me to reflect on this project since it's just been completed. So, going to the 9 core concepts of adventure learning, define the issue. The issue here is developing investing literacy among students, college age students, and that's part of developing financial literacy. It's something that students they don't know much about it, but once they start to learn about it, they want to know a lot more. They realize that money is a scarce resource, and that once they're out of college, they're going to need to manage their money. They need to manage their money right now, and as their life changes, their goals and needs change when it comes to financial management. So, the location of this project was the University of Minnesota campus in Crookston, Minnesota. Yes, we are about 90 miles south of Canada. There is a campus that exists in this part of the state. The curriculum, how I worked this was the total project was worth as much as an exam. And the two components were weekly reflections and the final project, which is the actual portfolio, the screen prints, and a narrative about um, how they construct their portfolio, what concepts they drew from in the 2 chapters in the textbook that they read about, and what they learned. I want them to talk about, did they experience anxiety? Did they experience fear of seeing all that red some mornings when all their stocks were down? Did they engage in one of the investing biases? Did they buy a company just because everybody else, all the experts said, that, get out, buy this company? It's a hot company. And we talked about a company that was a hot company. It's not so hot right now, called Tesla, the automobile manufacturer and battery maker. Um, so I wanted them to think critically, reflect, and engage themselves actively, which I think are aspects of this type of learning. So the portal for this site, the primary location online was Investopedia, which is a well-respected financial, basically it's a financial literacy site. Beginners, students use this site. People who are studying for the Certified Financial Analyst exam use this site. So it's a site for everybody. And let me go ahead and click that on here. Let's see, I have too many windows open. Okay, here we go. This is the stock simulator. This is the class portfolio that we did a while back. And so students would have a portfolio of stocks kind of like this, with just different companies. They might want to explain how much they're up, by what percentage, and why they think they're up so much relative to what's going on in the economy. That's where they do a little bit of research. They start learning about the economy. They start learning about economic factors that impact personal finance. They may want to focus on an individual stock like Walmart that's up 20+% and explain why they think it's up 20+%. So part of the whole scaffolding thing is sort of nudging students, sort of point them in a direction without telling them exactly why Walmart's up 20%. So, I told them, I said, here's a lot of articles. For instance, right now, it looks like the first indications of the Thanksgiving weekend sales were beyond expectations. So that's something that raises the price of a stock, is exceeding expectations. Those are the kind of things I wanted them to capture in their reflections. Let's see what I got going here. So this is the primary pros Investopedia. They also are exposed to our class Twitter site. And let's see if I still have that up or not. Let's see. Our class Twitter page. Okay, where do I have that at? Oh, must have got rid of it. But we did have a class Twitter page. It's linked to my Moodle site. Go ahead and pull that up. Explorer. Okay, here's WeExplore. Let's see here. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of our page. So just below the book there was my Twitter link. Unlike the courses at the U of M, they don't have the code for that, so it's just placed as a link. But they access articles off of Twitter, Investopedia, and we also had a guest speaker Let's see here. A guest speaker, David Amuth, who came and talked about what he does at Edward Jones, which is a respected financial services company based in St. Louis. Talked about his typical clients here in town, and gave my students some good tips about stocks and bonds. And that was timely because they were going to be talking about bonds the following week. So there were a variety of media utilized here. I gave my talks. We discussed what students were encountering in class. The students were given the opportunity to provide feedback in written and verbal form, addressing those introverted learners and those extrovert learners. On the written reflections, I also commented on what they said. Like if they were talking about a stock that was doing really poorly, maybe I'd kind of give them some clarity as far, hang in there. This is a good company. It's just that the economy right now is not favorable for them. So that's what we did there. Sharing and reflecting, I think I already touched on that. We did that a lot. We talked about the ups and downs. We talked about companies like Amazon are doing really well and why. We talked about Tesla. Because students had those stocks and they were kind of like singing the blues when coming to class. I didn't want them looking at their portfolios every day, but they did. That's one of the tendencies of new investors. They can't wait. It's sort of like with Dr. Dern was talking about the expedition. The students were naming the dogs, and every morning they'd be like, "Man, where's my dog? What's going on with the dogs?" I guess the dogs here were the actual stocks. So, this project did translate fairly well, in my opinion, as a business type class project. Okay, collaboration. When our guest speaker Dave was talking about market timing, buying and selling on a turn, and it doesn't work over time. And I kind of gave my testimony when I got out of the market in late 2007 when I saw the financial crisis coming before a lot of others did, because I was working in the inside of Wells Fargo. Now the problem with that is that I sold out 5% off the top of the market, but I didn't get back in for 5 years because of anxiety, and that's not fundamental. That's psychological. So I provided that kind of testimony to my class, which kind of reinforced David's point about market timing. And regardless of how smart you think you are, you're not going to time the market perfectly. So moving on, I was reading the article that was assigned over the week, and I kept thinking about the scaffolding thing and what is it? And so I did some extra research because I kept forgetting where that was talked about in the articles. I provided my class a framework. I showed them Investopedia. I got them to log in. I showed them how to do certain types of orders, market orders, limit orders, how you buy stocks strategically to save a little bit of money. Told them about the commissions. I set that stuff up because a lot of the settings I could pre-program for students, so they wouldn't have to mess with that. They read 2 chapters on stocks and bonds, and then at that point, I kind of let them go. I told them, you need to apply the concepts you learn in your reading, and your portal is right here. This is your adventure. You've gotten the manual, and you've got some of my insight. And here's the game. This is the game, buying and selling stocks. So, as I look at the list of things that are incorporated in scaffolding, providing feedback, yes, so I think we already covered that. Giving hints, like I had a student who's very bright. She bought Tesla, and she was like, "Why is my stock down?" So I just pulled up the price quote and I said, what's this in front of the earnings per share? Earnings per share is how much money you're making per each share that's out in the market. And if it's a minus sign, that means that they're not making money, they're losing money, and they're living off of borrowed money. And I said that was something that happened during the years leading up to the dot-com crash around year 2000. And what's ironic about that is a lot of these students were 2 years old in 2000. I'm trying to think here. I have some 17-year-olds, so some of them possibly may not have been born when this happened. So it was kind of a way of talking about, economic history as it relates to personal finance. So that's kind of what I did for this project. I think I captured the nine core components of adventure learning. I keep saying concepts. Um, I felt it was enriching. I felt that I learned some stuff from our guest speaker. Um, you know, if this was a pure venture learning type project, I'd want to like go on a trading desk at Wells Fargo Investments for 2 weeks. That's where I couldn't really replicate what Dr. During does on his expeditions. I can't really get out there. Um, so I felt it was rewarding. I think the students enjoyed it. They weren't totally listening to me talk about investing. They were doing it, and I think with multisensory engagement, the learning is deeper that way. So I'm going to conclude here before this video gets too long, but I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the We Explorer site, and I hope everyone has a great day who sat here and watched this for 11 minutes.